time to listen to it again. So that, why to listen to change yourself? Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwarah, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, my friends, you might be getting some chance to read, to listen to these sutras again and again. By regular listening, it clicks. One day it clicks. Oh, this is it. So we may claim we have understood, but the life remains the same. Huh? We say we have understood. Yes, yes, I understand. I told you I have understood. So now you have not understood. Do you see that? Did you get it? Everything is okay, but my honey is the worst. I have not understood. I have not understood you. It is totally different that whether whether our honey is good or bad, that's a secondary aspect. But the moment my mind says, blames and complains, I have not understood. So by listening again and again, Shravanam, our all the basic, I would say, original text, they are Upanishads, the sutras, and the Gita, they say Shravanam. Shravanam means listening again. But listening with apt attention that you are a seeker. So if you sow the seed in your mind that I have to find the real self, which Western philosophy says that there is a real self, that the real self is self-existent, that the real self is self-luminous, that the real self is all-pervading, that the real self is of the nature of permanent happiness, love, and wisdom. So you see that briefly touching. Do you remember the 10th man story? No? Yes, no, yes. So there were 10 students of a master. Huh? They were a little bit crazy, and master knew it. Both ends, students and teachers are crazy. So they were ready to go for outing to a village. So master said, be careful, count the numbers that you are 10 in number. That is this story gives us a clue where yoga begins. First, by understanding. So all the 10 students crossed a river, and one of them remembered, oh, master told us that we have to count the numbers, that we are all 10 in number. So one student started counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. But they were 10. So he said, where the 10th guy went? So everyone counted 9 in number. Luckily, we also have 10 in number today. So, so you see that. So a monk was passing on. He realize the mistake. You see that from where the journey begins, the first first 4 sutras points to this. So monk said, I know, I will solve your problem. Come on, you guys come. Start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the monk turned the finger to the guy who has been counting. Here is the 10th. You are forgetting yourself. We forget ourselves in search of peace and happiness in the world. My honey is worse. No, my honey is the most beautiful person in the world. No, I have the most beautiful car. I have the most beautiful, etc., etc. You see that? We are lost in the world. First 4 sutra says your real self. And then the second, next 6 sutras gives us an understanding that how we are lost in the world. How the mind is working on us. The truth should be we should be working on the mind. Do you know the story of a monkey became a seeker, monkey became a monk? You don't know. There was a monkey. No, I'm just briefing everything so that you should remember. Beginning of yoga is self-awareness. Then asking what is the real self. So journey begins. I have to find my real self in order to live in peace and happiness, love and wisdom. So, first, level of awareness. Second, how we are caught. So, Leslie, there was a monkey in a garden of bananas. The gardener used to pick up the bananas, putting into the basket. Basket has an open mouth. So every time gardener used to pick up the bananas and putting the bananas into the basket, monkey saw, pick up the bananas, ran into the tree. And the gardener was upset. So he found the way. He narrowed the opening of a basket. John, you heard the story? So what happened now? Monkey put his hand into the basket, caught 5 bananas. Now the area of his hand has become bigger. He cannot take his hand out from the basket. And the gardener came and thrashed him again and again, crying in pain. This is our situation, living our life. This is exactly our situation. I have a problem. I have a problem in the body. Here, pain is here, pain is there. I have a problem within relationship. I have problem, and there is only problem in the world. So this is the second part of the yoga. I gave you the Yoga Sutra gives us an idea from lot of thoughts. You already know the story of the Buddha and the mother whose son died. So that gives us a clue for the next 4 sutras, that what should we do? What mother did? Tell me. Mother came to Buddha whose son died. Now see, Buddha, out of compassion, he did not cry. He did not hug the mother. He constantly looked into the eyes of a mother and asked the mother, please go back to the villages. That is a practice. See that is a practice. Go back. Don't leave any single house in the village and ask If no one died in their house, I will make your son alive. That was the story. See that? So these 4 and 5 sutra gives us an understanding, that what I need to do it. Did I give you? Yeah, I think I told you the story of Bhamati and Vachaspati Mishra, who is one of the commentator of the Yoga Sutra. Gave a deeper insight. Did you understand that, that author, that master forgot his wife when he, for 10 years, he was writing a commentary on the Yoga Sutra, and he remembered, so he named the book in her name, Bhamati. Bhamati. So you see, outside in the world, you understand what exactly meditation inside, living outside, expressing that meditative state outside, that is the highest state. How to go about it? So we have done for 5 or 6 sutras. 5 or 6 sutras. What exactly is the practice? Do you remember the story of Bhartarhari? Bhartarhari, the king who became a great master, whose wife was in love with the owner of the staple and owner, and that staple master loved. We remember love stories. How beautiful. I appreciate you guys. How many love stories we did. But the true love story is that you love your real self. You remember, so I will not go. So there are 5 aspects. Do you remember? If I'm not a seeker, Shraddha, Svirya, Smriti, Samadhi, Purva, Titaresham. I am not a seeker, I have realized it. What makes me a seeker? I should work on it. Who will work on it? Let me listen to you and think of it, and I will reach to the highest level. It will not never happen. See that? That was the section number 7. That is how. And then we understood in what exactly is the nature of the real self. Last time we understood what exactly is the real self. It exists. Don't start, thinking and dreaming. Oh no, you are talking of a dream. You are talking of something that does not exist. We do not have any philosophy, any understanding of real self in the Western approach, Western thinking, in the science. What exactly is the real self? It is me, real me, different from I. That existence is absolute consciousness, existence, bliss. And we covered it is designated as Om. That is what we did until last. So now we also, yes, I think on meditation. Now, today, we're lesson number 13. If I title it, what are the obstacles? What are the means of removing? And what are the means of removing? And also, if your mind is constantly complaining, no, I don't succeed, and your mind is what? Your mind is comparing your experiences with others. Then you must pay attention to these sutras. This is what it is. So take up the Sutra 28. 28 Sutra. First he says, practice of Om meditation practice of Om meditation, what happens? Leads to the highest state of meditation. Om meditation. Now Patanjali, our master, focus. He says, do you, sorry, have you understood Om? Yes. Om is real self. Is it really the real self? In times of the stress and anxiety, do you recall and remember? No, no way. My nature is not anxiety, stress, duality, conflict. You want to fight with your honey? First have a smile on your face and then fight with the honey. It means then you have really understood what is Om. What Brandy is saying and thinking. You want to fight with me? No doubt. First smile, then fight with me. You want to blame me? First smile. First remember, I am Om. My nature is peace and happiness. So even if I have to fight, I have to fight in peace and happiness. So now this master is saying, Tajappaha tadartha bhavanam. Such a small sutra. It means if you do not practice Om meditation with meaning, with an essence in your intellect, you will not succeed. And if you do it with a meaning, now you see that, for example. Huh? So when I say example, it really means example. Don't start thinking otherwise. Huh? Yes, John, are you clear? Yeah. So I close my eyes and I say, Lara, Lara. Do I see the picture of Christina or John? I see the picture of Lara. Right? So when you say Om, Om, does your mind go deep inside the heart and become aware of the infinite space? One meaning. One way to understand. This is the meaning of this sutra. Tajappa tadarth bhavanam. Tadarth. Repetition is one aspect. The artha, tadartha bhavanam. My mind and emotion goes to that meaning of the real self. Same thing, it is very easy to understand Leslie. So when I close my eyes and I say Leslie, so I see the image of Leslie. I don't see the image of Lara. That is where we do the mistake. And when you do that mistake, then you are doing Om meditation for 10 years and you return. Oh, nothing has happened. Nothing will happen. Om meditation done with the repetition, with an understanding of its meaning. When you are not doing, you reflect in the intellect. You are reflecting in the intellect, its meaning, and then you are repeating Om, Om. Majority of the people claim that they practiced Om for years but did not attain any result. They repeat the simply Om, Om, Om mechanically. It will never happen. Why it does not happen? How many of you take a cup of tea or coffee early in the morning? Very good. I also take it, so not a big deal. It's not a... You see that this taking of a coffee in the morning is because of subconscious repetition of coffee or tea in the mind. The mind recognizes the moment there is a day, the dawn, huh? There is a sunlight. The mind, because of its habit, says coffee. We don't recognize it. It says coffee, 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 coffee. So without thinking, we go to the kitchen and we take it. This is a fact. This is how we can learn it, the very process of the mind, habituation of the mind. This is what we say, habituation. But the habituation of the mind will not work in yoga. It has to be conscious. First part, first difference, did you understand that? First difference, conscious repetition. You are totally absorbed consciously. The word Om should reflect meaning and the knowledge during meditation. I gave two examples. Leslie, so when I'm Leslie, it means image of Leslie should appear. Image of Lara should appear. Not because that is the greatest defect and the problem that we face in any meditation. Why? Because we have understood Om is our real nature. So as you continue to do, you pick up any attribute. It is like the infinite space. Mind will go inside. So what happens in Upanishads, we have a couple of Upanishads which talks in detail about Om. So third part of the success is that we should listen. We should learn more and more about Om. If you get more interested, it might have happened first time you like the person. Oh, let's have date. You want to know more. So that very dating, second date, third date. I'm not going further, Then we get married, and then after that, what happens? That's a second issue. So here, the more you have a date with the Om through different text, this is what is the meaning of learning and listening. The more and more you learn and listen, you become more and more clear about Om. What happens by regular listening and learning or study, that the mind removes the wrong notions. Meditation succeeds. So third part is silent. Shravanam satsang, which I covered before. So if I say that if you want to do that in your practice daily, anytime, whether you're sitting in a restroom or anywhere, or with your friends or with your honey, if you go for that, pick up these meanings. I believe that you like it, because I want to make this live sessions, not only intellectual knowledge, but the knowledge that should help you. Now see that the moment you say any one of the meaning or all the meaning should enter into your intellect. Oh, it is the source of all the knowledge. You see that? Om is the teacher of ancient ones. He is unaffected, not limited by the time. So when the intellect keeps that sense in the mind while saying Om, mentally, loudly, shorter and the longer version, it will work. It will work from the very first day. Because now the mind is not engaged in wandering to the other thoughts, because the intellect has taken that mind inside and kept the mind inside with the meaning. And you will complain, I always use examples of honey. That is the only example I know. And that is also the biggest challenge we have in our life. Honey does not mean only the person, it means anything that we love, we are attached. We become monkey, basket. Huh? So you see that, remember this mind doing Om meditation with the meaning and the knowledge is much more important than repeating Om habitually. Subconsciously habituated mind says coffee, 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 coffee in the morning. We don't remember, but we take our action. We go to the kitchen, huh? Bring a cup of coffee. You see Leslie is eating. It's a habituation. It's a part of the habituation. No, 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 I have to eat so that I can keep myself healthy. It's okay. At the physical level, it is okay. But when we want to succeed in meditation, it is not okay. It has to be done with a meaning. I think I have impressed much more. You will say why I am repeating it again and again. Because it must settle in our mind. Now see couple of Upanishads. I will take couple of Upanishads, not many, who talks about Om in detail, but I'm bringing the essence from the 2 or 3 Upanishads, so you can keep it in your. So what is that? God is the syllable Om. Out of him proceeds the supreme knowledge. Sweta Swatar Upanishad. Om is Brahman. Brahman means primeval being or supreme being. Om should meditate on this. One should meditate on this syllable Om. Chandogya Upanishad. These are the principal Upanishads. Principle means very important. They convey the message deeply. Once we are the higher level of a seeker, we should study these. Syllable Om is the bow, oneself indeed is the arrow. Lot of Upanishads talk about this Om. I want to bring little more understanding about this. There is another epic. There's a great epic which contains hundreds of verses, which talks about what exactly this. It's a cross-referencing so that you can understand what this means. The person who are learned, who have the knowledge, define sound as just giving one idea into one more understanding. Let me keep it first. So what this verse says, person who are learned means if we are using our intellect, who have a true knowledge, define sound as that which conveys the idea of an object. First thing, indicates the presence of a seeker, screened from our view and constitutes the subtle form of ether. Are you getting it? Did you get it? First thing, don't get carried away. No, I understand Om, so I have been doing it, Om, Om, Om. No. Understand it. Understand it again and again. Let your intellect convince you. There should be a clarity. You have understood it clearly. First point. Second point, you are a seeker. Second point. Third point, now you understand what Om conveys. Third point, now you practice Om meditation, you will succeed. Srimad Bhagavatam is one of the greatest epic. On it talks about different stories of Krishna. And what about sound? Any sound is a word. The word contains the meaning. Where is this Sanskrit language? The beauty of the Sanskrit language, it is the language of yoga. Why it is the language of yoga? All the alphabets are nothing but the seed mantras. They are known as akshara. Akshar. What is the meaning of akshar? That cannot be destroyed. I want to deviate a bit if you allow me, if you all allow me. Akshara. All the alphabets are known as akshara. Akshara means that cannot be destroyed. So science says sound can neither be created nor destroyed. So we have been saying it for the last 10,000 years. What a big deal in the science. Akshar. Akshar. We should use the science to complement the principles of yoga. We are doing opposite. Why? Because of lack of knowledge. Now, just to give a brief, prana. What is prana? You already know. This prana travels into 72,864 energy pathways. This is what we say the pranamaya kosha. Right? So any movement of the prana in these energy pathways creates a particular sound. That sound became the word, and that word is known as the mantra. I deviated a little bit. Did you understand that? So now, is my mind working on me, or I am working on the mind? So put your right hand on the forehead. Take a deep breath, lips together, and start doing the humming sound and feel the vibes there. Put your palm gently on your forehead. Why you are shy? It is your forehead to feel the vibration. Leslie, put your palm. Every point is touching. Leave this. Put your hand on the center of the rib cage. Make the lips like maybe looks like a crow's beak. Ooh. Do you feel the vibes there? Of ooh. And now put your hand on the middle of the belly button. Normally we may not feel. my mind is working on me. This is the nature of action. Just try. I don't want to deviate too much. We have 300 points here. Couple of points represents Ganesha. You know Ganesha? Om Ganeshaya Namaha. So when you are doing it with understanding, it awakens the higher intellect and the wisdom. And it is all done by the movement of that energy into 72,864 energy pathways. Can you find any sound in the flute? But when you blow the air, you have a melody. So the art of mantra is to understand not only our body, our mind, and these mantras to bring about a change in our life. I think that much is enough. You guys are already convinced, so why should I large? No, I'm not convincing. I'm presenting what is the right knowledge. Did I talk about the 4 levels of the sound? No. So now see another understanding. We have done meditation, I think, not. We have done very quick and fast Om, long Om, I think in Mondays and Thursdays session, not here. So there are, now see another level of understanding from the Nada Yoga. It is totally an independent science, independent form of yoga. But obviously, all the other practices are also Nada. So there are basically 4 levels of the sound that affects the different states of our consciousness. I'm speaking to you loudly. It is known as Vaikhari. It is known as Vaikhari. Vaikhari sound or walk. It is known as Vaikhari. Vaikhari means spoken word. Clear? Spoken word. Honey. Honey. You see? Vaikhari. So it makes a difference. Your sound. Okay, now I will teach you what kind of a honey I am. If you say it loudly. But you are still saying honey. So second is known as madhyama. Madhyama. Madhyama is in between. It is in between. It is in between the first and the third. Madhyama means middle. Madhyama walk, Madhyama speech, Madhyama sound. Third is known as Pashyanti. Now pay the attention on the words. Second is, let me put what I have written. Why it is not. So the Madhyama, I think you should note down and you should contemplate on this. And then later, let me put it, the entire description that I have written for the book. And then I will make you understand. So now see that. Second is the Madhyama walk. Walk means the speech or the sound Madhyama means in between, the middle. I have also told you that is for intellectual purpose. The location is in the heart. It is present in between sleeping and the waking state. You see the beauty of understanding that the way you speak a particular word or the mantra is related to a particular location in the body. It represents a particular state of the mind, whether it is sleeping or waking or dreaming. It means a mental speech which is different from the first one. Vaikhari. Now come to the third one. Before Pashyanti, vak or the sound, it is present in the intellect as intelligence in the form of a syllables. Are you getting some feel of it? How deeper our science is? I remember something. Last year I had a couple came to me and I realized that the husband mind or the intellect was repeating lot of negative thoughts which has created an image against her wife in his intellect. That was the problem, because every time he used to talk to me openly, he says, no, I love her, but now compare this with the Pashyanti. That husband used to see those negativity in his intellect about his wife. Did you get it? So, what happens when you follow the Om meditation? That meaning of the sound is settled in the intellect. You cannot be in stress and anxiety. It happens only when the intellect is pure. That is known as the third, la pashyanti. Did I give the meaning? Pashyanti means to be seen. The literal meaning of the pashyanti, that I see. That is why I explain. So lot of our problems enters into our life because we start seeing the problem day and night, before sleeping, in dreaming. Christina, are you becoming aware unnecessarily? I'm comparing it with a lot of challenges that we face in our life, but here it is a positive side. We have to allow our meditation on any mantra to reach to a state where I see that. By I see. So when you start seeing it, what happens? So that is the third one. The fourth one is known as paravak, para speech, P-A-R-A. So that is behind the mind. It is purely mental. It is the highest. It happens automatically. So it means what? We succeed in any mantra meditation. That when that mantra reverberating inside into my mind with clarity in the intellect, then what happens? The meditation succeeds. Did you get it? I'm not going to there is another form of uh, Nadi Yoga is totally a, so there we focus on each and every syllable of a mantra, the sound of a mantra, the 5 different stages of a sound. Then we link it to the 3 states, the sleep state, the dream state, and the waking state, and in order to transcend all the three states to enter into the fourth state. You see, that is totally an independent school of yoga, not style of yoga. We have created many styles. The masters have pointed different schools of yoga. Means they specialize in a one particular format to help the seeker. Oh, nothing is helping. You have done pranayama, you have done 105 asanas, headstand is doing every day, but nothing happened. Now the time has come to do the Nath Yoga. So we have different approaches. The Nath Yoga is totally a different approach. I gave about, 40, 30 lessons to. There is a wonderful, I think Lara knows, Silver. Silver, what is her full name? Silver Stein, something. She is living here. She learned for her music. So that's totally a different. So Shabd Brahm. There is another word we say. We say the ultimate reality is the sound. What is that ultimate reality? So a fractional part of that Nadi Yoga is taken in Kundalini meditation. Fractional part. Not in deeply. Not everything. But definitely. Because of that Nadi Yoga, Kundalini Yoga is Kundalini Yoga. So is the Nadi Yoga at the higher level or Kundalini? Yes. You simply understand Nadi Yoga, everything will be done. Leave this. Now let us. Now, why we have understood this Om meditation in detail, why we have spent almost an hour, even though it takes many, many hours, answer is given in the next sutra. I need not to say anything. What is the next sutra? The next sutra says when we practice Om meditation, only Om meditation, with understanding and clarity, what happens? Not only it removes all the obstacles, Leslie. What are those obstacles? You are in meditation. No, my mind was wandering. That is an obstacle. My mind was lazy today. Obstacle. My mind was thinking a lot about honey. Obstacle. A lot of obstacles that Patanjali is going to cover in the next sutras. So what he says, first thing, what he says, that Om meditation removes not only all the obstacles, but how? You see, Patanjali is not teaching us any. He does not say, you believe me and then everything will be done. Normally, we teachers sometimes say, believe in me, do it. But my belief is shattered because I do not explain clearly. Now see the beauty, the way these people write these sutra. Tatah pratyak chetana adhigamo. Tatah pratyak chetana adhigamo api antaraya abhava cha. So I picked up the second part, that it removes all the obstacles. Now, what happens in the first part and used by the pratyak chetana? Do you see that there is a pratyak chetana? I think you should remember pratyak chetana and paranga chetana. There are two chetanas. Patanjali uses at many places. So that will make the thing clear. Pratyak. What is the meaning of pratyak? Do you see that? Do you see the language Sanskrit that we are using for learning yoga and compare it with any other language? It is the language of yoga. It is the language of real self. It is the language of the highest consciousness. So you see that every time I speak of a phrase and I come, what is the meaning of pratyak? You'll be amazed. Means that which is present equally in every being. What is that is present in every being? It is consciousness. So where the mind starts flowing? The mind starts flowing inward towards that consciousness. How? By the practice of Om. And that is the reason it removes all the obstacles in the path. Are you getting it? There is a storm outside. We have an instant response by the mind. Rush inside the home, close the door. Storm is there, but I don't feel any problem. Are you getting it? That is the meaning. Tataha pratyak chetana adhigamo api antaraya cha. So when we continue the practice of Om meditation, ultimately, what is, you see, I think you guys give me the name. There is a center, and from the center, uh, you see the center, the rays are scattered outside, totally outside. That is one aspect of the mind. The mind is totally crazy, wandering outside in millions of directions. Why? Remember monkey and the monkey became the monk? Did you get it? Monkey became the monk. So this is known as Paranga Chetana. The mind is scattered in millions of directions outside. So Patanjali uses that specific word. And what is Pratyak Chetana? Just opposite. The mind that is scattered in millions of directions is gathered inside. John, getting it? That is the meaning of Pratyak Chetana. Now, I pick up these simple words, so that at least you will not forget. Oh, you will remember that beard guy has told us. I know, I remember. It should be interesting. So, we have a problem, experience of anxiety, stress, duality, conflict, problem, because the mind is scattered in millions of directions outside. Om meditation, Pratyak Chetana. What we say, conversing, or there is another word. Anybody can tell me, I'm very weak in English. So regular practice with wisdom of Om meditation. First, what is the first result? Actually, the first result is the Pratyak Chetana. The mind starts moving inside. It is settling inside. And the second result, it also removes all the obstacles on the path. There is also another meaning, the Pratyak Chetana. I told you the consciousness that is present in all being. Sometimes we have the word which has a multiple meaning. So there is another meaning when you are totally absorbed into the higher meditation. that Om reveals its true nature. What is the true nature? Absolute existence, consciousness, and bliss. The mind is now totally merged. So, when the mind is merged, where the Om has gone, Om has revealed the meaning. What is that meaning? Real self, a live experience. The way I am experiencing you, you experience the real self. The obstacles on the path of meditation are removed completely. So, you see that specialized Nadi Yoga is introduced in couple of sutras here. So, why we say Patanjali is the father of Eastern psychology. So that also gives us a clue and understanding that Patanjali is well versed with the entire yoga. Not only Ashtanga yoga, but Kundalini yoga, the mantra yoga, the Nadi yoga. And I already told you, it is extremely important that we should study. Whether you study again and again, you listen to this talk again and again, and then close your eyes. Okay, let me now understand. What did I understand? Allow the intellect to uh, preserve that information. Why? Because the garbage that is present in the intellect will start dropping down. I've been telling you the word satsang. Satsang means learning and listening from a teacher. Second part, self-study. Normally what we say, oh, I have heard you, I understand. Then why you are upset? We directly hit. You're not upset, very good. That is, so now comes. Now see what should be the next sutra should be. He talked about pratyak chetana, the inward moving of the mind, merging into the highest consciousness, that is the highest state of meditation, and removal of all the obstacles and hindrances on the path of meditation. So the next sutra naturally should be, what are those obstacles? What are those obstacles? Huh? So now, my friends, if we pay more attention that what are these obstacles, and we pay attention how to remove these obstacles, then the things will become better in our life. We have been making a journey. We have a question. I did the practice last time with you, but I did not succeed. I have tried hard and I failed. I tried softly and still I failed. It is because of these obstacles. Why I don't have any experience like the others have? Because of these obstacles. Leslie, because of these obstacles. So we have to understand what each and every obstacle clearly, and if you understand it clearly, and then you make an effort to remove these obstacles. Now go to the sutra. If we translate these sutras, antaraya, there is two words. These obstacles are caused by vikshepa. Vikshepa means distractions of the mind. We studied perhaps in the second lesson of yoga. Yes, second lesson. Do you still recall that there are five objective states of the mind? All the thought pattern can be classified into 5 groups, and all 5 groups causes the distractions. And if these distractions are not there, then what happens? The mind is empty. The emptiness will reveal the true nature. So you see, the Patanjali is still using the same thing. You get all these obstacles on the path because of distractions of the mind. He says your mind is wandering. Your mind is forgetting. Why it is forgetting? Because it is not repeating. It is not doing the study regularly. Your mind becomes the monkey. It cannot bring those bananas out. Look at all those 5 states of the mind, 5 objective states of mind, and 3 subjective states of the mind. Wandering, forgetfulness. I normally say craziness, laziness, and obsession. So they causes the distractions altogether. You cannot categorize them only into a wandering state. So Patanjali uses a specific word, and every master uses the same thing. Vikshepa. That is the word. So that is what he says, vikshepa. Mind is the major cause of all obstacles. So second part of understanding, mind is the major cause of obstacles on the path. So either we should do study again and again, listen, satsang, and self-study, doing again and again to understand the nature of the mind so that we can take over the mind directly. That is one approach. Second approach is to get rid of all these distractions. Yes. A seeker, now understand, before we go deeper, did we understand there is a real self? Did we understand the real self is different from the body, mind, intellect, ego? Did we understand that real self is different from the mind and its 5 subjective and the objective states? So this process of understanding is known as viveka. We have separated what is not real self from what is real self. Where? Where you have separated? You cannot do it outside. I am not the body, so I cannot separate my body from myself. I separated that in the mind, in the intellect. So when you separate that in the intellect, in the knowledge part, that process is known as viveka. That process is known as discernment. If you don't have discernment, forget about removing these obstacles, because these obstacles are mental, psychological. Are you getting it? If you don't do the self-study, if you don't study these texts again and again, if you are not with the company of a teacher, nothing will happen. Are you getting it? That is the part Viveka, you cannot separate physically body from yourself. Let us understand in a different way. So that will make you clear. I know I am not my house. So I can separate physically my house from me. How? I sold my house. I sold my house 7 times. And then I realized no house is mine. It's physical separation. Huh? Physical separation from the car. My car, now I sold it. No more my car. So, what is not real self? My house, my car, etc., etc. But now, when it comes to I am not the body, I cannot separate my body from myself physically. Huh? So, Western philosophers have taken this philosophy, this understanding, totally in a negative way. Modern psychology, including the modern side. So, we have to separate in my intellect. Why? I am suffering from identity crisis. At one time, I become the body. At other time, I become the mind. Third time, I become the emotion. So, very powerful process that I have to separate that separation of what is real self, what is not in the intellect is known as discernment. And the moment you have a discernment, the vairagya, the dispassion takes over the intellect. And you continue the journey by listening, studying, and understanding what happens. You need not to do any practice. The calmness enters into your whole being. They are known as 6 treasures. Samdam, huh? Samdam uparati, titiksha, shraddha, samadhanam. Now, these 6 treasures, 6 inner treasure of the mind. What are those inner treasures? Sham. Sham means calmness. Dam means now the mind is looking inside. Mind appreciates everyone is wonderful outside, but it still remains inside. Uparati. Uparati is another quality of the mind, natural quality of the mind. We have lost. So that natural quality of the mind, mind realizes that I cannot be attached to anything in the world. We talk of lot of attachment. I cannot be attached. Then the fourth one, endurance. The fifth one, the faith. And the sixth one, the mind gets naturally focused. You become the seeker. A seeker has an intense desire for freedom and awakening. Why I have been talking about this in obstacles? If you do not first pick up these simple basic principles, these obstacles will continue to exist. You cannot get rid of it. Patanjali speaks at a different level. Vivek khyati viplava hanupaya. Vivek khyati. Vivek, same, discernment. Khyati means settled in the intellect. They all masters, they have to talk the same thing. They cannot talk of anything else out of yoga. Vivek khyati. Khyati means now that discernment is fully settled in the intellect, what happened? Vivek khyati. Viplava hanupaya. That is the method. Hanupaya. What is hanupaya? I talked about it. No. You guys are busy, so I will remind you. Do you know the Four Noble Truths of Buddha? Huh? It is the fourth noble truth of Buddha, and that is used in by the masters as a Hanopaya. Did I talk about 4H? Heya, Hetu, Han, Hanopaya. John, 4H, Four Noble Truths. Heya, the word is suffering. Hetu, there is a cause of suffering. Han, absence. Hanopaya, method. So what Master Patanjali is saying? Vivek khyatihi viplava hanopaya. That is the method. So now did you understand that why I brought this topic before I start talking of the obstacles? Huh? Vivek khyati viplava hanopaya. Now let me simplify it. I'm talking to you. Nobody is keeping it, but an example, you keep a big face and I get hurt. So tell me, is my mind really crazy? Answer is yes. So what happened in this process? You may have a big face because of your own problem. And my mind owned unhappiness because of you. Are you getting it? Why should I own? Why should I claim unhappiness and sorrow and the suffering from the world outside? Now remember Pratyak Chetana, inward moving of the mind. John, we have only to understand it. The very understanding helps us to calm down. Are you getting it? I should promise to my mind that I will not own, claim unhappiness, sorrow, and the suffering from others, from the world outside, including my honey, near, and dear ones. I don't want to claim. Finished. In order not to claim, I need to follow that process. What is that? Discernment. I have to think, contemplate, discernment, dispassion, six treasures. Are you getting it? Now the link is clear. Now let us go deeper. Huh? Since our childhood, no exception. We may be genius. We are seeking ultimate security, freedom from the fears. Everyone is seeking ultimate security. Give me any example. Make any statement of a problem that you are having it. Yeah, no. He or she cheated me. Why? What I was seeking with the he and she? Love. What is that love meant? I was feeling insecure, fears. Ask yourself, think of it. We are seeking ultimate security and freedom from the world outside is the root cause of suffering and obstacles. You understand only one thing and live into that. How to live into that? The moment you are anxious, angry, I'm seeking ultimate security from the people, event, and things. How that awareness will come? Vivek Khyati Viplava Hanupaya. Discernment, dispassion, six treasures. We are trying to understand what are these obstacles. So every obstacle or hindrance has mind its origin. So now we will understand there is another word Patanjali uses, antaraya. Antaraya simply means obstacle. So these obstacles causes distraction, and the distraction does not allow my mind to become empty so that I can reach to the higher state of yoga. What are these obstacles? Patanjali says they are 9 in numbers. Someone was saying, I was having, some headache. That's why I could not attend. You must attend the session because you have a headache. You need not to listen to this beer guy, but attend the session. Anyone. Means what? There is a commitment, there is a clarity of understanding that real self bypasses this headache. Hence, I must practice. Now, I laid the foundation. Now, understand each and every obstacle. Relate in your life and get out of these obstacles to succeed. These distractions are obstacles. Now, understand. Very important part. These distractions, these obstacles live with the thoughts. Now, important point. It is important to note if thoughts are present in the mind, does not mean the obstacle is also present or hindrance is also present. How are you today? I'm fine today. What happened yesterday? Oh, I had an acute pain. So, thought is present, but it does not give you a headache. Right? Did you understand the difference between the two? These obstacles are present with a particular thought. But exception. It does not mean if the thought is present, then obstacle is also present. But if the obstacle is there, the thought is always there. And when the thought is there, that distracts the mind. So that distracts the mind. Distraction of the mind cannot lead me to emptiness. And that is why I do not succeed. Otherwise, it is only 3 days journey. Why we are spending so much of time? Does it mean, how much? 12th or 13th session, 2 hours. Feel bored. Are you getting it? It's for us. It's a very practical. It is applied. Now come, once we have an understanding. So what did I say? If the obstacle is present, I definitely have a thought. Clear? Huh? But it does not always mean because I had a problem yesterday, so I can narrate that to you. It does not mean that when the thought of an obstacle is present, it does not always mean that I have an obstacle. Clear? So, why I have been saying you have been used to my listening in meditation. Mind says I cannot do the practice because I have headache, pain, fatigue, and tiredness. Mental obstacle. And Lara knows one last session, or even yesterday, she did not move at all. She has Parkinson. She did not move at all. Total stillness. We don't have a problem like her. I do not feel like doing the practice. I'm just making a statement. We'll categorize these statements into 9 obstacles. Do you see that? I don't feel like doing the practice. What happened? Oh, no, I don't feel like doing the practice. You see that? So we in our country dare not to ask further. Okay, if you don't feel like doing the practice, it's okay. Why it is okay? You are a seeker? Why it is okay? Now I think I have a little right to challenge your thought. I don't feel like doing the practice. Why? Where is the liking and disliking comes? Do the practice. I feel my mind is dull today. I feel heaviness in the body. Oh, did your weight increase? Look at the mental disturbance. No, I kept lying on the bed, laziness. The dullness blocks the right knowledge. The seeker is not ready to listen to the teacher. And that we know it. So that is why Patanjali examines our mind and its wrong notion before we remove them and continue the journey of the self-discovery. Are you getting it? You sit every day for 15 minutes and every day go back when you woke up in the morning and find out what are those thoughts that blocked you to take a particular action which is right and good. You will recognize all the 9 obstacles. We need not to apply the depression inventory to know that you are having a depression. Inventory, that we apply the questionnaires to prove that you have anxiety or a particular problem, a psychological behavior model. So we apply those questions. We as a teacher, we ask our students to recognize how your mind is behaving. Recognize it. The very recognition minimizes the impact of illness. Do you understand that? So it is not, no one is student. Everyone is a master. Everyone is a teacher. To yourself. Recognizing obstacles and taking the right action is the way. But you have to accept the challenge of this mind with the cheerfulness and commits to the practice. Cheerfulness. Oh, wow. I was angry yesterday. But when you become so serious, the anger remains with you. The first obstacle, the first hindrance, he says vyadhi. Vyadhi means disease, unease, pain, sickness. Now see, pay attention. Once we have understood first obstacle, first hindrance, it means any physical illness can cause distraction. Distraction will take my mind outside. It will not help me to succeed in meditation. So what about Terry, who is suffering from Parkinson? Do you have an answer? We have already studied. Those who have an intense desire, no obstacle prevails. So anyhow, come back. Vyadhi means pain, sickness of three types. The diseases caused by disequilibrium. Now we go back to Ayurveda. Three dosha, Vata, Pitta and Kapha. That is first type. Second is caused by the trauma. Oh, what happened? Trauma, any kind of trauma, shock. And the third kind of a disease is called as mental. So we, under this first obstacle, these three types of illnesses are covered. The Sanskrit word vyadhi means disease. But the Sanskrit word vyadhi is known as the son of death, son of god of death, so that you will always remember. And we also talk of physical suffering, mental suffering, and all that. Now, before going further, we should understand body and mind connection. What is body and mind connection? Psychosomatic disorders. I believe you know it. One is psychosomatic disorders, other is somatopsychic disorders. Yoga understands clearly. Something pops up in my mind, but I'm not going there. I'll just... Mind is angry, and anger is there in the mind. Now that anger from the mind travels through the pranamaya kosha to the body. Now I'm using yoga and the science together. And when it travels to the body, from the body, it travels back to the mind. It is known as psychosomatic disorder. Simplified. When you are angry, see your face. So that anger has traveled to the body. But what is the medium? Medium of travel is the prana. Your energy is either squeezed or focused or concentrated or became violent, lot of stuff. But that has to be done by the prana, otherwise you cannot. John, are you getting it? I'm just talking of purely a pure understanding. Look at the Eastern. That is why I'm just making a statement, otherwise it will become so long. When you are angry, what is your breath rate? Very shallow, fast. Huh? One text of yoga has delved very deeply into that. So when you are calm and relaxed, your breath rate is deep, silent, and slow. So that Master Shiva, the master, has found out what exactly is the length of your breath when you are in deep sleep, when you are dreaming, when you are calm, when you are angry, when you are agitated, when you are tired and fatigued, when you have a headache. Many people are interested in narrating their personal experiences, so build their ego. So that I'm not going to do, but directly I'm saying, you have a headache, check your breath. It is short. If it is short, make it deep, silent, and slow. If at that time of your headache, you are dominant breathing, dominant breath, dominant flow, is from the right nostril. Close the right nostril, start doing it with the left one only, even for 5, 10, 15 minutes. Headache has to go. Now you're making such a big promise. I've been suffering from migraine for the last 50 years. So we have to do it regularly. If it is 50 years, obviously it has become chronic. It may have 80% element of the mind, 20% physical. So to get rid of 80% of the mental factor, I have to do that regularly. Come what may, you have started challenging that mind. And when you challenge this mind, it will happen. I have seen it happening in more than 50 people, out of which 5 in New Jersey. We are talking of the first obstacle. Very important practice is yoga nidra, or simply I designed 4-step relaxation. You can download it from the speaker. There's 4-step relaxation. Yoga nidra should always be done to prevent the onset of these illnesses in the body regularly. How long it takes? 10 minutes. I don't have even 10 minutes. Why I don't have 10 minutes? Because I'm seeking security in the world outside. I'm busy, either in my personal life, my professional life, my social life. Why I'm busy? Because of seeking security. What yoga has made you understand, there is no security outside. Not only 10 minutes, I will find 1 hour daily. Then the things will change in your life. Tell me why you are so busy. You don't understand. You will say, I thank you very much. So now see, physical illnesses, we are talking clearly. I plead and request you to think of it, listen to it again, make a point, make a list, and see what changes you can bring in your life. Bring these little changes. Simple thing, I tell you, you wake up in the morning, do the 4-step relaxation. Before going to sleep, you do practice 4-step relaxation. Now I don't get a sleep. Repeat it again. I don't get it. Repeat it again. 3 repetition, 10 minutes, you are bound to go into sleep. So your mind will learn how to drop into sound sleep. Lying on the bed, we are constantly changing the side, right, left, up and down. Will stop. And that will change your entire mind. But you have to be patient. Not the other patient, so, so now see that. Did you understand what is yoga? According to Patanjali, yes, I understood. I know it. Yes, very good. Goal, I understood, yes. To be a seeker, yes, I understood. What is lacking? Why we don't succeed? Even Hatha Yoga says. Did we study Hatha Yoga Pradipika? This is the sutra, the verse from Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Atyahara prayasascha prajalapo niyamagraha janasanghascha Lolyam cha shadibhir yogo vinashyati. These 6 acts will destroy yoga. You may be highly intelligent. You have understood every aspect. And I thought better to bring reference of Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Otherwise, your mind will say, no, no, this is Hatha Yoga and that is Raj Yoga. Every master teaches the same thing. What is teaching? Eating too much, overeating, overexertion, being highly talkative like me. Talk too much about what is right knowledge. It will not destroy. Understand? But you enter into the gossip. My dog, your dog. Your cream, my cream. Your hair, my hair. You are doing this, you are adding more distractions into the mind, and you want to succeed in meditation. Are you understand? Or are you reacting to this statement? Oh, it doesn't mean that we should not talk in the society. Did I say that? Understand that. Talk, talk about yoga principle. And when I gave this insight to a wonderful woman last year, I think in 2019, she is still with me doing a private lesson. She lives in Mesa. She said, wow, I was talking to my sister, unnecessary gossip. We used to meet for a chat, for a drink, and now I have stopped drinking. I don't like to enter into a gossip. If you think like this, you will find out maybe, I'm not saying 100%, maybe your headache, your migraine has these contributing factors. We say, no, do this pose, do that pose, do this breathing, eat this and that. No, these are these factors. First is overexertion, overeating means I have to balance my diet. Prayasascha, overexertion. Did I tell you that guy who does 2 hours of gym, sweating? Why? To avoid the negative thoughts, feeling of insecurity. But that 2 hours extreme gym keeps his body at a higher level of fatigue, tiredness, and laziness. He cannot perform any action. We don't think that in that way. You see, what is yoga? To understand, yoga tells us this is the right way we should start thinking to lead our life. To think in that way, you have to listen to it again and again and again until the mind accepts it. So, overexertion. Third is being too much talkative. Niyama graha. This is another biggest problem. Sometime, there might be many people who might have told you, Lara, oh, you are a yoga teacher? Yes. Oh, do you take tea also? You are a yoga teacher? Come on. You need not to set the rules. I have to adjust and align myself based on what is present in the modern society. I should not harm myself. So what is this obstacle? This destroys yoga. We become very strict to some of the things that is not required. Not required. I strictly adhere to the rules which is not required. Don't do that. Yoga seeker is always flexible. It puts the knowledge first and then it says, okay, what is the best thing to be done? Second is, one is not being too much of talkative, and third is janasanghascha. Janasanghascha means that I go to the company of addicts. I will become addict. Now I'm just making to understand, summarizing it. So I have to be very cautious of the company I live in, including my dad, my family members, whatever it is. I have to find out internally if it is not helping me, I should remain indifferent. Lolyam cha shadbhir yogo vinashyati. It destroys yoga. Whether you do 2 hours of practice of meditation every day and then you enter into these 6 acts, yoga will be destroyed. Now see the other side of it. Now look at the Krishna. Krishna. If you follow this, now opposite of what is this? What is the opposite of the 6 destroyers of yoga and the helpers of yoga? Gita says yukta. Yuktahara viharasya. My lifestyle should be balanced moderately in eating. We are not saying don't watch any movie, don't do this thing. We don't have do's and don'ts. Moderation. What I was doing yesterday, watching a horror movie until 1 a.m. Then we know what is going to happen in the morning. You have a hangover, you cannot wake up. You cannot get ready for the session. We claim we are intelligent and still we commit these mistakes. Do you agree with me? So, yoga says you don't raise your IQ. Allow the viveka, the discernment, to settle in the intellect. You don't need IQ to live your life in peace and happiness. You need viveka. That is the meaning of yuktahara viharasya. Means lifestyle. I should examine moderately in eating, moderate in sleep. I am performing my duties and responsibility. I am mindful of my duty and responsibility. You see, that's why I am ready 10 minutes before the session. Do you pay me more for coming 10 minutes before? So it is not that. Just to enjoy. I want to enjoy my life. Look at those small things. Can you introduce those small things? The mind will remain calmlessly. The deeper you understand, the life will change. Let me pick up one thing. You may be interested long back in Ayurveda. So, what did we understand? That we understood Patanjali, the commentator explains that physical illnesses is caused not only by the mental factor, but also by the imbalances in the Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, the three dosha. So I briefly wrote for you guys. Just remember this all the time. So what he says, it is Shushrutu Samhita. Person whose all the three dosha, humors, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, are in balance, whose appetite and digestion are in balance, whose seven body tissues are functioning normally, whose malas are in balance, and whose intellect, senses, and the mind remain full of bliss, is considered healthy. Ayurveda definition of health, physical and mental health. Now let us understand in an easy way. We say Vat, Pitta, and Kapha. Vat, Pitta, and Kapha. Dominant is air, Vat, Pitta is fire, and Kapha. So Vat, Pitta, Kapha, you can say five elements in different proportion. So you see that when these three humors are in equilibrium, they are known as dhatu. But when they are not in equilibrium in the body, they are known as dosha. That is the understanding. That understanding should be there. No, no, no. There are three doshas. They are not doshas if they are in equilibrium. Are you getting it? Huh? So when they are in equilibrium, they are dhatu. Dhatu means they are tissues. They are helping me. But they are in disequilibrium. Then only they are known as dosha. Clear? Huh? Understand this. So, dosha. Now we should understand a little bit the vata responsible for digestion, no, inhalation, not digestion, inhalation, exhalation, movement, discharges, impulses in sense organ. The pitta deals with the hunger, thirst, digestion, excretion. And the kapha controls the stability, lubrication, movement, body, luster, digestive tract, glands, and fluids of the body. So I'm not deviating too much, otherwise, it will become a big topic. So we should understand any of these factors and we should take a right measure, changing the lifestyle of moderately. You see that moderately, and those six factors you destroy, that destroys yoga. If you are mindful of them, life becomes easy. Then even if the friend calls, you don't say, no, I have been suffering from so many problems. Yesterday I had a group session with one of my friend like Lara. She is doing some study with the Phoenix University. And beautiful women, wonderful, very intelligent. She spent 15 minutes talking about her problem. So when I start talking about your problem, you will say, we are not going to join you next week. Enough is enough. We already have our problem in life, and you are adding more. We are not mindful of this. Now, you talk to close ones, talk to me so that I can help you. So this is the first one. The second one, the digestive fire. We have to be very much aware of proper digestion. Change the food, which helps, uh, which type of stomach you have. Follow this. And best part is, we say porridge. If the person becomes physically sick, or we say, oh, we will give you porridge for 3 days. Porridge means that, rice plus some lentil, little turmeric, little bit of salt, and you add. You make a soup and you drink it. Not only it helps you to regain health, but it also helps you to avoid lot of problems. Like this, there are many, many, many ways. Yes, I think I should cover this part also. Then uh, your misconceptions will be removed. To just removing the misconceptions, it is important. So where we are bringing some part of the yoga. Remember this. Also remember this. Some people say Ayurveda. In Tantra Yoga, we have a Vanaspati Tantra. Tantra. Sometimes loosely translated as method. So we have listed hundreds of herbs that aids in meditation. Finished. So now come to this part. Ayurveda deals with the good and bad life. You see that principle is the same. Every master continuously talks. Did I talk in Hatha Yoga, the 6 things that destroys yoga? By Gita Krishna, balance, moderation, physical activities, mental activities, food. Instead of gossiping, do the gossip like the way I'm doing the gossip. You will enjoy. But the other gossip that makes your mind wander, it will not help, it will fail you. Now see what Ayurveda is saying specifically, the main fundamental. Ayurveda deals with the good and bad life, happy and unhappy life. So unhappy, I have to find out the cause, remove that. It explains what promotes health, what affects health adversely. It also deals with what affects life expectancy and the quality of life. And we forget about what, pit, cough, and this and that. Follow these simple rules. Sit down with yourself. Ask yourself, where is the problem? Now you have earmarked the problem. Talk to me. I will point you out. Here lies the solution. Sometimes we brag. Again, I have a good friend. She told me, give me one clue of migraine. So I gave, she was insistent, so I gave the mantra. She did it for 2 days and she forgot it. So every third and the fourth meeting I have with, she gives me a very good story of what happened when she was suffering from migraine. Do you see what I'm pointing you out? That is what is coming from the second verse that I have written. All diseases are rooted in the mind before manifesting. The impressions of the mind gets carried forward to the next body. It causes repeated birth according to Eastern wisdom. The seeds of the diseases are carried in the mind and they manifest at appropriate time during one's life. So, what misconception I wanted to remove? Now, see what the Ayurveda, or in general, yoga and the Ayurveda both offers. Those who do not want to understand, they live in ignorance, a very low level of self awareness, to whom we have a solution. What is that? So, first solution is medicine, herbal medicine. Second solution is charity, charity of the knowledge, charity of the food, the charity of the money. We use certain mantras. We say, okay, so that is another process which helps. So don't be misled by any, but it has to be very proper. One has to understand which mantra, japa, mantra meditation, but one has to do it regularly without fail. And the seeker has to report to the teacher what you have done and what happened. And then there is another homa. You might be aware of homa. The homa means there are a lot of rituals. We bring lot of herbs and the fruits and other items, and we chant a couple of mantras in order to get rid of, yes, and it is 100% possible. But the process is little complex. The person should be aware. We should find out the right time. And then there are other remedies which is pertaining to different form of mantras pertaining to the god and goddesses. Maybe next week we will talk about some more remedies before we go to another obstacle. Any